right. Good evening, everybody. This is Anurag Garg from Contract and Commercial Designs, popularly known as CCD. The ongoing CCD virtual series, we are coming up with a session on a very important and special topic, which is role of FM in restoring business normalcy, especially in the area of millennials, Generation Z. And for that, we have a very diverse panel today, and a very qualified and experienced industry leader with very tips and valuable insights. So I would like to welcome Major Aditi Mohan, Vice President, Fidelity National Finance, Mr. Manish Gaur, Managing Partner, Urban, the Design Workshop and IBS School of Design, Mr. Satyanarayan Matala, President, TFMC, and Mr. Dishank Mohan, Director, Cherry Hill. Further, to moderate this amazing event, we have none other than Mr. Pathajit Sarma, Senior Associate with Advanced Workplace Associates and Founder Director of iDream. We'll take this opportunity. We thank our sponsors, Communique Workspaces that inspire, a professionally managed office and co-working firm at New Delhi, USM Modular Furnitures from Switzerland, and Luxy Chairs from Italy. So I'll not take much further time. I request Mr. Pathajit Sarma to start today's session. So over to Mr. Pathajit Sarma. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Anurag. In fact, I really like the introduction, it's short and sweet. Sometimes when you go into these introductions, I will almost feel like somebody is going to say that they won a Nobel Prize, which I did not. But this is, and we promise, I think, all of us to the whole audience, that we'll keep the answers short and sweet. And we'd also encourage the audience to actually take part as much as possible. I think all of you probably have a chat box there. I think it is the Q&A box where you can ask your question. As soon as they come to your mind, please ask your question. We'd like to take your questions, if possible, even in the middle of the session, right till the end, because then, sometimes it loses the momentum which it gets at that point in time. Now, okay, so let's begin somewhere. There's one thing common between all our panelists here, the audience and me, is that you have no clue what I'm going to say, and I have no clue what I'm going to say next. But let me make an attempt. Imagine that you're doing skydiving, okay, and you're jumping off a plane. Of course, there's a trainer there, and you jumped, and the parachute does not open. Now, what will flash through your mind, before somebody comes and saves you and the parachute opens? Imagine that, okay, and you land safely. So when I have to begin something like this, I only hope that the parachute opens today, and I need all of your luck. But at the same time, what I'd also like to say is that I think that role of the trainer, who suddenly comes from somewhere and then saves you, and then you land safely, I think that is one role that the facility managers are really playing today in actually saving organizations from going here and there. And I think hats off to facility managers and what they have done over the last 1 year. Now, traditionally, as most of you know, this is a domain which I think was seen as more like a support function all this while, not all this while to a large extent. Then suddenly, because of the COVID, FM professionals are seen as COVID, warriors, and they carry a new responsibility, which is really to help business get back on their feet. And this is, I think, a very radical shift. And this is likely to radically, I think, alter the role of FM in the medium to long term. We'll find out if it does or not, what our panelists think. Now, such changes may not only include changes in the roles of the FMs, but also involve more working closely together with other departments like IT and HR as well. So once again, Major, without further ado, Major Satya, Manish, Dishank, it's an honor to share stage with you today. Stage, actually, unfortunately, we don't have a stage, but share ether. I think ether is a word. Right? And those in the audience, if you have any questions, please type in those questions. Let us actually test it if the questions can come in. Maybe Priyanka, you can help us if it is coming in. So the audience, can you tell us why you have attended this? Why you are here today? I can see that you're attending in large numbers. Why have you attended this? Type in so that we know that it's working. Now, we'll not wait for that. We'll actually pick that question up as we go along. But I was actually doing a bit of research on each one of you, each one of our panelists, and I realized that I actually like the way the dress that should I call it desk, the camouflage wear that Major is wearing today. Is it because of something special today, Major?
That is true, sir. Today is Kargil Vijay Divas, and while I would have wanted to wear formal like all of you all, and I thought, we decided we would do that, but I couldn't identify myself other than this uniform that I carry with a lot of pride. And because I was a part of Kargil War myself, so this is what it is, my dedication. So thank you for having this webinar, in fact, on this day.
Yeah, I think it is an auspicious occasion, but I've seen a lot of your photographs. I was doing a bit of research on each one of you. And I actually, sorry, I mean, there's going to be a little bit of scooping around here. I actually found this photograph of yours, wearing the same wear. You're sitting on the floor. I thought facility managers, you have a seat everywhere you go. Why are you sitting on this floor, doing what everyday people do?
Yeah, so that's called walk the talk, actually. So this was last year when the lockdown happened and the offices were shut. And we had to actually reach out to the police authorities, and we started off the passes for the offices, for the movement of delivery and people. And every particular pass had to be printed out. It had to be written manually, and only then the police would sign it. Being the vice president of a company, I could have any of my boys go there and stand in line. But life is important, so life of my boys was important. So I asked them to sit back home, and I went there, stood in line. Anybody else? And came for the passes. I took the passes, and the only place that you find outside the DCP Whitefields office is the floor. So I'm 47. I decided to sit on the ground and fill it up.
Yeah, I promise to touch my feet as my toes. Should be able to do that, right?
I'll work on that. That's the subtle message going down my lane.
I can see that. Okay. Now, besides that, of course, all of us, I think, have had our lives changed, I think, over the last 1 year. All of us have been affected in one way or the other, adversely, mostly. Now, in terms of your profession, Major, I mean, you signed up for you left the forces and you joined, a particular job, expecting to play a certain role. You signed up for something. Has that changed today? If it has, can you mention one or two things which has radically changed over the last 1 year?
Yeah. So pandemic came unannounced. Of course, it was an unseen enemy for me. I really didn't sign up for one particular thing, which probably by end of this 2021, someone calling I'm Mr. Aditi's husband to start with, and I know that the story behind it. But when it comes to signing up, let me just give it a terminology called ape. And when I say this, it's not about you aping me or me aping you, but let me just kind of break it up on adaptability. To a great extent, we had to really engage to a great extent. We had to overnight evolve ourselves. We had to prepare ourselves, and of course, the most important part was safety. So we had to protect my employees. So that started happening all of a sudden because my business had to run. And yes, along with that, a lot of collaboration, a lot of camaraderie. As I say, once a soldier, always a soldier. And business work and life, this all had to continue for us. Crisis management undoubtedly is my strong suit, sir, because it comes naturally to us. We've trained that way. We've handled a lot of in the corporate world. When it comes to Karnataka, we are famous for our transport strikes, and we are famous for our fuel strikes, Kaveri issues, and of course the Kerala and the Chennai. So we've done that, but this was something that we were not prepared for. All I had to do was that I need to work that my office never shut down, and of course my business had to continue seamlessly. So I know that I'm very good at forecasting, so I'm not really blowing the trumpet here, but yes, we are very good at planning for the unseen. So nothing surely works individually because we plan and we direct, and I somehow make a very rough sketch of every situation that I'm facing. So whether it is even personal or professional, and I just put pen to paper. And execution is very important because you need to take it to the T. So we are facilitators, as you rightly said, and all of a sudden we became warriors. But during this pandemic, we ended up taking new roles. with this, and this is something that I didn't sign up for really. And uh, as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. So ek taraf hum actor ban gaye, because we were demonstrating, even to the extent of kashayam kaise peena hai, betadine solution kaise lena hai, balloons kaise blow karne because of your flow of oxygens. We became actors, we became delivery boys because everything was shut down. We became innovators to a great extent because we were demonstrating with the pipe how to make our machines of sanitizers, your preparedness, your keys, your awareness, your in fact most important was my COVID task forces that I'm not sure how many of you are a part of it, but anyone in the audience today, if sitting there, that really happened, and even today it runs. Because of that, we know that a lot of offices were helped, a lot of people were helped. It just kept us going. We also became half doctors, so to say, and virtual world actually started from here. It still continues, and we know that the battle is not won. It's still half won. We became trendsetters. And what you just saw, sir, and I mean, what you just showed us, all of us, me sitting on the ground, that's probably an example of, what we could do along with the local authorities. And we just don't do lip talk, but we walk the talk. So second wave came very, very strong for us, and it was much, much tougher than the first one. If you're asking me that, did I sleep well? No, I didn't sleep well. All I wanted to do was save lives. I probably didn't move myself from the bedside table that I had until 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, yes, I do rise when crisis stands at our door, and in fact, along with the entire team, that's what an FM always does. So did I sign up for this? Probably yes. But for now, I believe that we are all the chosen ones, and any FM personnel would actually go save people, save lives, save assets, and things that helped evolve us was the camaraderie. And I of course take this platform to thank all those who believed in me and us and trusted us, and of course the work that we've done. And we as a FM fraternity are anyways everywhere today, sir. And we've reached, in fact, your homes. We were earlier restricted to these four walls of our offices, but today we are moving into cities, we are moving into towns, we are moving into gullies. It's exciting, adventurous, but at the same time overwhelming.
Major one, yeah, I mean, hats off to you, and thank you so much for saving lives. But one of the things you mentioned was, of course, health and safety. All of us understand, the importance of health and safety. And I think, I've been in this industry for close to 25 years now. Earlier, I mean, say 2 decades back, I think in India, to some extent, health and safety were big words in some SOP, in some document, in some drawer there. But that whole thing has changed, radically, I think now. Now let me test that theory of yours, Major, if it actually is happening in practice. And I want to put Dishank on the spot here. Dishank, are you okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I don't know if you've actually worked with Major and her company, but this is a very neutral kind of a question for you. Dishank leads one of the largest, if not the largest, turnkey contracting firms in the country. And their team has worked with some of the largest global and Indian companies in the country, across the country. Now, just this whole factor about health and safety, about making our facilities and people's lives safer and healthier. When you have done projects, and I'm sure you've done projects during the COVID era, you compare those projects and you compare the projects before that, and you look at the RFPs that have been issued to you. Okay. Has there been a change in terms of the health and safety, or is it just lip service? Do you think that what Major is saying has actually translated into making our facilities actually healthier and safer? And in what ways?
So, Mr. Bhattacharya, that's a great question. And I think it's actually, the answer to that is not very simple. It actually depends on the clients. It actually depends on the architects that are actually configuring these spaces.
You don't have to be diplomatic. Okay, you can speak your mind.
I'll keep that in mind, sir. So the intention is actually there are a lot of new things which have actually come into place, which actually enhance employee well-being with relation to facility management and creation of new spaces. When I say so, these includes elements like building management systems, which actually integrate elements like lighting, HVAC, water, CCTV, fresh air, access controls, touchless doors. All these are integrated with the Internet of Things. So when this happens, it is basically like a one-time investment. It's like a capital investment, but there are very few companies that actually want to. So basically, they kind of pick and choose out of the whole list of toppings that they have. They decide based on how much employees they have, what all team that they want to keep in the workspace, and they accordingly choose. Okay, I want BMS including of these three packages. This is something that I don't need for now. So these investments actually enable facility managers to monitor the complete space without any human intervention. So it's like all automation based. Lights will switch on at a certain time, they will switch off at a certain time. Artificial intelligence will be linked to CCTV cameras. So when people will be just walking and entering, exiting the office, their attendance will be taken. They don't need to go to any touch point for any touch, like to do any biometric scans and so on. Small elements, even like the taps in washrooms and so on, are all connected now. They are touch-free taps. The building management systems can monitor all that, ensure how much water usage is being done at what element or what washroom of the office. So in terms of facility managers, in terms of hygiene in a workplace, I think integration of VMS with the artificial intelligence and Internet of Things is one of the greatest value adds which clients can underdo in their office. And I do see a lot of this being reflected in the RFPs. It depends. I think A-grade clients usually think more about their employee well-being, so their spending capability is slightly higher, and some kind of pick and choose depending on what they think is right for their team, keeping their budgets in mind. So that's, I think, what.
You spoke about spending capabilities are slightly higher for some clients. Are you kind of hinting that for the others who don't have the spending capacity, the L1 guy will always get the project and health and safety is not important?
That's a very good. In terms of pricing, India is a very price sensitive market. We have to keep that in mind. And even prior to COVID, we came across certain clients that really for them, their employees are their biggest resource, and they wish to spend little more than what others are willing to do for them. Google being a prime example, I don't have to mention. Everyone on this platform must be knowing what they're doing at a global level for their employees. So when I say that it's having India being a price sensitive market, the new cost of projects actually includes the existing cost plus the new COVID measures that have to be taken at site. These include, as ma'am was saying, vaccination needs to be done for all laborers. There has to be entry-exit points at site. There has to be continuous medical health checkups that to be set in place. So these are all additional costs which have to be added to the existing cost of items that you're taking, and that becomes the new cost of the project. So most clients do prefer L1, but nowadays I'm feeling that they are giving some more importance to employee well-being.
Right. For those uninitiated, and I'm sure everyone is, L1 is actually the lowest cost which comes in for a project when a quotation is asked for. Okay. Thanks, Dishank. I also see, interestingly, questions already coming in. Questions have come in from Prakash, from Ramesh, from Uday, from Sunil. Thanks, all of you. The other questions can also please keep on typing. I'll only appreciate if you can also write to whom you're asking the question so I can direct it accordingly, although I have a fair sense of where this question is going. I'll just pick up the question after I speak to Manish and Satya, okay? Okay. The other thing which I was just listening to you, Dishank, I was thinking that, the way you're explaining it, it's in some of those factors are almost like, idealistic, if it actually translates into practice. And then I see a linkage with hospitality there. I see a linkage with hospitality. And that's where I think of Manish now. So Manish, ladies and gentlemen, has had a long history of being associated with the hospitality industry. And after spending close to 2 decades there, he came into this industry, although his family was always there. And I feel that the way offices are evolving today is very, very close to the way good hotels are actually developed and they're serviced and they're run, in terms of health and safety, in terms of somebody actually taking complete responsibility for every user of the hotel, Okay, the health and safety, the comfort, the pleasure of that user. And the outlook of the person who stays in a hotel used to be very different from the outlook of a person who comes to work every day at 9 and goes back at 5. But I think that is changing, because the person who comes to work for you is being looked at as your internal customer now. Manish, do you see some similarities between the hospitality industry, and do we have something to learn from there with the current way of how offices are being run? Yeah.
Thanks, Partha. This is a very interesting question and very relevant for me. One of the reasons why I joined Urbane the Design Workshop and Ivy School of Design was to enhance the service orientation approach of our businesses. It was not that it did not exist, but just my broader exposure of this industry would have brought some, scale the height of the way we looked at our customer, the way we looked at things, and the way we were serving our clients. Um, I will just have to, like Major Aditi said, once a shoulder, always a shoulder. It also stands for a hotelier. Once a hotelier, always a hotelier. So when I joined over here, I thought, that I will miss hospitality industry, but I'm not missing it because, earlier I was working for the hospitality industry, but now, I'm catering to the people who are in the business of hospitality. Let me explain. In my opinion, hospitality is the excellence of service that we provide that changes the lives of the people we touch every day. And that is so much, if you try to, see hospitality and facility management, both are keeping the end user in their mind. Everything which is being done is designed to facilitate or to make the life comfortable of the end user. Or and say for example, a cup of coffee, if you drink in your office or in the hotel, if it is the right kind of coffee you are having, it will impact your day. It will make your day lively because start with that. So that is what that minute detail is all which we see in hospitality, and now we are seeing again in facility management also, because facility management is not only a cost function now, it is a value driver, and it is taking care of two of the prime value drivers for any organization. One is the people, and the people will include both internal and external, and the second is one is the people, and second is basically your real estate, because the real estate portfolio is managed by facility team along with the thing. And when we go into hotel, and when we see office, nowadays the office are kind of a statement. They are telling, they are reflecting brand image. They're they act like a storyteller because they tell the story of what the organization is. They reflect the ethos, the culture. They provide comfort place for the employees, and not only employees, even those who are coming as a whether a client or as a vendor, because you get to know what that organization is just by being in that office. There is a lot of focus on play areas. There is a lot of focus on wellness, and there is also a lot of focus on invoking all the six senses. Like for example, when you just walk into an office nowadays, it is just like you go into office lobby, hotel lobby. This is one major similarity which I see in facility and hospitality. Then the other thing is that there's a lot of inclusiveness when the facility team is interacting with us for their design and build projects. The CEO is also involved, the HR is also involved, and so you are trying to bring whatever is everybody's requirement on the table and trying to address every issue. The second similarity between hospitality and facility management, again this internal environment, is they're all SOPs driven. There is a lot of focus on standard operating procedures. Everything is laid out, and there are a lot of trainings which are being given. So there is a lot of focus on soft skill development. So these two similarities are the internal thing. The external thing, and which has really impressed me, a lot, is the agility. Like for example, facility management. Once the pandemic happened, they have been so agile. We have got so many queries from our both the new and existing business, the new business also and existing business, how we can combat the challenges which are being thrown by the pandemic. How we can make our employees more safe. And the queries were so much that my partner Darpan, who is a architect and a founder of the organization, he wrote a white paper on the solutions which are there, and it was circulated in the industry, and it was very well received. The second external reaction or to the external environment, which is again very similar to what hospitality has also done, is the CSR activities, which Aditi ma'am just shared, Major Aditi shared. The amount of CSR activities which has been done by facility management team, like, whether it is vaccination drive, whether it is providing oxygen, whether it is blood donation camps. So there is huge amount of activities which are being done, which I really appreciate, because hospitality also, it is called like a mini city, and wherever they are, they try to, within that society or that environment, try to help the people around. So these are the major similarities which I see in hospitality facility, and both internal and external.
One of the things you mentioned, Manish, is interesting. You mentioned coffee. The coffee has to be the right, coffee happiness is coffee for a lot of people. It's interesting because a couple of days I was actually part of a visioning workshop with a client. There were 10 people in the workshop. One of the questions was, what do you really miss most about the office? And two things came out on top. One was the smell of coffee, and the other was gossiping about others in the office. And this was serious. Okay, this was very serious. And then there was a FM head, and there was this HR head, and they didn't know where to look. And then the other question which came up is, okay, so who's managing the office today? And nobody knew. Who's managing the office? Nobody knew. And this makes me think, like, of course, Major Aditi and Nishank spoke about, getting your hands dirty kind of stuff, which is serious, This is about life and death situation. On the other hand, the expectations of people have also changed. That you miss the smell of coffee, you miss gossiping. There is something therapeutic about gossiping about your boss, right? Now, which actually brings me to Satya. The Satya, who's managing the office today, really? Is it the facilities manager? And if yes, how you as a head of an association are you preparing them for this future, where they also have to think about the smell of coffee, and not only if the pipe is leaking?
Yeah, Pata, I think on the lighter note, before starting this, I think when you're talking about the gossip and the coffee, I think we got a couple of emails, which few of the HR heads and the facilities managers were telling me that there are a couple of emails received from the employees saying that when are you going to start the office? Even the salary is 5% less, I'm ready to join back the office. There are some emails which is very strange, but I think on a lighter note, this is what's happening, because I think we lost the good 16 months or 17 months what the shutdown happened. And then being representation of around 400-500 companies in Hyderabad and Telangana, I think we've been preparing it. When the first wave really hit, and January was the time when we thought we'll open with 10%, 15%. But as you know, the second wave started in March. Then we couldn't actually do anything. Which the entire world and India was actually witnessing the disaster. But then when we were talking to last 15 days and 15 days back, when we had a discussion with the government, and then the government is also very keen to encourage ITS companies to come forward. So that's point number one. Many of them have showed interest. Around 50% that said we would like to come with 10% model, more of a hybrid model. So the point here is, how are we prepared? Even if you want to really open the offices, how are we prepared? It's not more than a physical preparation, it's a mental preparation. If everybody needs to talk about how mentally your employees are coming back to office. So there are a few bigger companies, MNCs, who are saying that, we'll talk about mandatory vaccination, so and so forth. And a lot of points we are talking about a single dose of vaccination will give, and around 60% to 70% our employees are vaccinated. For the last 2 months, the drives are happening successfully. I think, as Aditi Major was rightly mentioning, we are not passed through the tough times, but we are 50%. We are safe because of the vaccination. That was the assumption. So there was a positive vibe across India, I think, saying that we are safe by seeing the situation. Point number two is, we are welcoming, we are doing a lot of sessions within to bring that positive vibe within the employees. We started doing that every week. We have been interacting with a lot of employee groups through HRs and then, their center heads, saying that, and we are involving few doctors into that. We are involving few health experts into that, saying that what is post-COVID and pre-effects, and we are trying to show some live offices. That's what we did last 10 days back. How are we decked up the offices? How an employee needs to come from, as a gate to his workstation. How do he log in? So a lot of logistics. We're giving confidence to the employee. So it's a joint effort by HR and facilities again. And point number three, we were called as facilitators, as a facilities manager. It's no more a facilitators. Now we are called as frontline warriors. Like any doctor, now we are called. A lot of people call us as frontline warriors. So the meaning has completely changed. The way we went back. And if you ask me now, more of the facilities managers, what there it is. Basically, they have set up the hospitals also. So that was the typical facilities manager role have changed. In Hyderabad, along with me, around 15 to 20 FMs, we created isolation rooms, isolation spaces within Hyderabad where anybody can come for 14 days and stay. So we were only taking care of the office, logistics, like you said, coffee, tea, transport, etc. But now we got a great exposure on how do we handle the crisis, especially for the pandemic of COVID. So this gave a lot of experience as well as confidence to the employee groups and the management team that this FMs can do much more beyond. I think our strength has been tested and we have proven that we can safeguard the employee group much stronger. So these are the few points which Partha, I think the transformation happened, and from an FM role to a frontline, now the name has to change. It's not a facilities manager no more. I think we should call with some name called a warrior, or FM warrior, or an FM.
You're in the right position to coin that term now. Okay, here's a chance. Satya, your camera has gone off actually, so we can. Okay, you're back. Yeah. So
I still use the word C, so I renamed my facility services to corporate services. Yeah, so we still have C in it.
Right. Okay. All right. So actually, quite a few people in the audience are kind of resonating with what you're saying. There's Prasad who's saying that very happy to see facilities management being spoken about in a forum like this for the great work they do. It looks like we had to wait for a pandemic to happen. Well, yes, I mean, the pandemic has affected a lot of people in a very different way. If it has affected the FM industry in a positive way, I think we should celebrate that. One of the questions, I think I point this to Major, which is coming now from Ramesh. Could you highlight ideas and initiatives proposed to induce confidence in operations to restore normal businesses? Ideas and yeah.
So thank you for this question, and I was reading in your Q&A as well, chat box. So Mr. Ramesh, and in fact, I'll probably take on Mr. Sunil's question and club both of them together because they're trying to ask the same thing. How do we need to bring in normalcy to the into the business, and how do we really restart? Kind of put the ignition key on and get our people to work. So first come first, I will probably just be very specific and generalize the entire thing. How are we trying to do around bringing normalcy? And if you're asking me that have we started operating our facility, we never shut down. The business demanded that way, but of course the percentage of the business, if you all know how the percentages have been working, now that we're looking at the numbers that are very, very minuscule, and every organization, including mine, are working towards how to restart. Few things that you all can do, and in fact, this is top-down approach. We started off with our internal surveys, asking employees how you would want us to, work towards the way forward. Do you really want to come back to the office? Is this hybrid model working for you? Are you comfortable at home? Because there was a lot of facilities as far as logistics is concerned that was given out to the employees. You made them actually sit onto their couches. You provided the furniture, you were giving chairs, you were giving money, you gave everything possible to an employee. You also said that, you know what, you can travel to the Northeast, sit there, this is your laptop, I'm the delivery person, I have couriered, you sit in the comfort of your home, And now to rework the entire schedule is going to be definitely very, very tough. But to start with, yes, employee survey is important. Town halls are important, and we are doing this town hall as I speak. We do have, a lot of town halls have been done with every business function, where the top, the top line people, the executive managements are addressing the concerns of the employees, that what is waiting for me when I come back to work. Site readiness is something that is very important for a facility officer, and I think we've done a great job making our sites very, very protective. Travel has already started. So as I speak, the next week I have my bosses around. That means things are looking good. Vaccination drives, as we mentioned, if you have got vaccinated, I think nothing stops you from really fighting this bug. I'll call it a bug. I would not call it a virus anymore, but because it's been bugging me for a very, very long time. Hybrid model. Hybrid model is the call of the day. This is the shout that we have been making. Yes, very important, understood, very attractive. This is something that we all should work towards, and this will happen for a little while. So these are few steps. Do the survey, do your town hall, know your people, engage with them, keep looking after their welfare, very important. Ensure that you are actually circulating, when you call it your newsletters, that how safe your society, your site has been. I have done that and not only to my own people, but I've also done it even with the fraternity. So once you are ready, I think there's nothing stopping you coming to, if you allow. So let me take this very simple example. If you're comfortable having your household mates at home when you have your kids around, why would you not be comfortable of having, our people around on the office? My security has been working 24 by 7. Your housekeeping has been working 24 by 7, looking after your facility. Your builder's security has been working 24 by 7. I think it was all the time that we were up and about. So just stay protected. There are gears, there are ways to look after yourself, and I think we are good to go. Anything else, if I can help you with, let me know. For now, yes, just do this. I think you all have your SOPs in place, as Mr. Manish said. You all have your site readiness in place, which you've already brought down your costs. Dishank is there to help you. Manish is there to help you. If you want to put your, the low touch points, and a wonderful article that Mr. Manish shared from Mr. Darpan, I would highly recommend. In fact, I will float it around into our COVID task forces as well and the fraternity, that these are things that we need to look into. The beautiful way of talking about how you design your workspaces. As I said, we have become innovators. You need to do the layout. If you do it in a transport vehicle, when you're talking about a zigzag pattern, why don't you do your workspaces without actually rebuilding them again, but put a layout of a zigzag pattern? So that's important. Low touch points or no touch points, as he mentioned, very important. You've already spoken, Dishank, about the contactless things. There was a question on one of the ladies asking that how would you want, where all can we do a contactless? So I think there are places, even to the extent of your biometric access, because we invested hell of a lot on our BMS system. But today the situation is I can't touch my access reader. So these are the things, and yes, a lot of compliance issues are what you need to take care of, but we're ready.
Major, I think you have laid it as it is, and thanks for that. For being so honest. I think you've broken a lot of biases and myths about what the workplace is all about, what the role of women is all about. Every time I do a project for a client, and I have to prepare a report, and I look for some images, copyright-free images. The most common image of a woman working in home is of this lady, beautiful lady, with this MacBook Air. Always a MacBook Air and a cup of coffee by her and a child playing near her. And the man has got like 3 screens out in front of him. That's the standard thing. There are certain biases about the way it's supposed to happen, but it's actually so different out there when you go. And it also differs from city to city to city. What works in Bangalore may not work in Mumbai. The other day I was reading a report that most of the employees in Bangalore are saying that I can do I can be productive by staying at home, whereas people in Mumbai are actually saying the opposite. 70% of people are saying I need to get back to the workplace. Because why? Because the homes are small. And secondly, in Bangalore, you do more of standardized work. You do more of coding work, which can happen from anywhere. But Mumbai is known for the creative world. So you need to be with people. You need to bounce around ideas. So things are different. Things are quite different from city to city as well. So
We are the city of pubs. We can venture out in pubs, but you see, that is just on the lighter side.
Yeah, one of the very specific question which is asked is what kind of solution, maybe Dishank, I'll point this to you, is that what specific solutions are there, IT-based solutions for hygiene in the office? Do you want to take that?
Sure, sir. So basically, in
Hygiene.
to improve hygiene, I think there are a lot of things that can be put into place. As I had mentioned earlier also, one thing that I think the audience wants to ask about is how we can put touch-free systems. So something is like, as I mentioned, a facial detection, as ma'am was saying, they have biometric readers, but now it's very difficult for employees to go and touch the same device. So now we have facial cameras which have facial detection. So all the employees' pictures are taken in the service system. All they have to do is just casually walk into their office and sit on their desk. The camera will automatically do facial detection through their eyes, through their face, and mark their attendance accordingly. Something small points which can be without any extra cost can be embedded in an office space would be touch-free taps can be put into place, so you don't have to touch high germ contamination points. There are bidets also in washrooms and WCs now also started to come into a touch-free model in which you just touch something with your foot and then water is. There are foot operated door handles which have come into washroom doors, in the doors of going into the WC cabin. So these also, especially basically entry points in washroom, are two areas where there is a lot of germ contamination. This is also there in case of communal uses such as a photocopier machine or any space in an office where people come to take certain data, like a area where all the layouts are kept or all the samples are kept or so on. So we have to reduce the physical touch in these places. So we have tried to put systems in place in which there is one designated person will be doing all the photocopying for the people, or try to use more digital scanned elements rather than printing these documents. So few things here and there help people reduce touch to certain areas and thereby making spaces more hygienic. One extra element I could add here, if time permits, would be, as ma'am was saying, was reconfiguration of the space. So as the amount of people that clients or companies want to have in their office is slightly less as earlier, so they are trying to position the desk in a manner which has certain amount of social distancing with each other. There are also smart elements which can be introduced, like desk dividers and so on, which reduces touch between people. So these are very economical methods which can be put into any existing office in order to make it more hygienic, in order to make it more COVID friendly.
Yeah, Dishank, some of these solutions that you mentioned are expensive, some are not. The other day I was, there in a forum like this, and somebody was presenting his solution, and somebody actually asked him, "What is the payback for this?" I mean, he gave his answer, but I was thinking, payback for something which saves lives. I mean, what are you talking about? There's no payback for any of this. And I was just thinking that when you're mentioning all these solutions, in organizations, I've seen that the way decisions are taken in terms of deciding on a certain investment, there is something like a value line, an imaginary line. Some decisions happen above that, some decisions happen below that. It's a price decision below that. Above this is all value-based decisions. Now, do you think that some of the things that you deal in the BOQs that you received, okay, have moved from being price decisions to value-based decisions in this COVID times?
As I mentioned, Bhartaji, it is only valid for certain clients. It depends on what somebody is trying to do. Yeah. There are so many clients that are moving out of their spaces. So all the work I'm doing for them is reinstatement of their own office so that they can hand it back to the builder. So that is just a price-based work. Whereas there are some companies which have a little limited workforce, but they have international offices and they want to create the standards at par at all offices. So these companies will definitely value the employee hygiene and employee well-being more, because they want all their employees across the globe to be getting a certain similar parity of services and standard of working environment. Other clients are picking and choosing. They are trying to choose elements which are more important and which fall in their budget. I feel there has been a slight improvement in that value line. I think from the past pre-COVID level to now, I would say 5 to 10%, something like that, not something more. One thing that I'm noticing clients really ask for is the improvement of air, is it in addition of an air purification system in their existing HVAC. So the good part is that there are a lot of HVAC systems, VRV systems have the ability to add this feature, which includes HVAC HEPA filters and ionizers at ducts. So these two elements can be added to your existing setup, thereby reducing extra expense that comes into place. So I think clients are choosing based on the team they have and their international policy that they have in place for their employees.
Satya, is anything happening towards making any of these things that Dishank mentioned standard in offices? Like, for example, 20 years back, CCTV camera or access control was not a standard. Okay, but today in every BOQ, these things have become a standard. And there's actually like a question. It's not a question; it's a comment. We need to come up with some platform for repository. But I'm asking, a related question. Do you think as an association or as governments, we are moving towards a stage where some of these things will become standards?
Absolutely on par with what architects are thinking. I think it's a joint collaboration between a person like Dishank and his company and then, and a facilities management company, because the change should only start with where the architects actually plan the spaces. I think that's very, very important is they play a very vital role to bring this change post-pandemic. Otherwise, I think, yes, in wave one, we did some modifications to the workstations. We removed some workstations. So that modification, alteration, everything happened. But now, as Dishank was rightly mentioning, we need that spaces to be designed in a way where the vision actually next 10 years, how this pandemic is going to actually take us, right?
I was actually asking, so you are, part of an association and you work very closely with the government. Is anything like this actually happening?
Yes. We Parthaji, I think basically the workstations, we start doing that in a space. And then HVAC is something which is very important, which we already started replacing the filters, and then we started giving that confidence, working technical experts on the band, and they started doing that in all the floors. So that's one point which is actually connecting back to the dots of what you're asking and Dishank was asking. So we started doing that practice 4 months back. From we started exactly creating that space of HVAC. And the point number two is senseless. The CCTVs or the captures, the IoT is actually onto the move. So we don't have any biometric. I think this is when we started with one. I think with wave two, I think most of the 80% of the companies have already moved from the touchless to a sensor based. Most of the workstation, most of the washrooms, or your entrance cameras are already capturing your temperatures also. So there is no need to actually worry about the touch base points anywhere. I can proudly say, because I've been moving to a lot of companies to understand. We did some white papers also on some of the topics, and we've been distributing within the other fraternity. So this is already implemented, Partha, in most of the companies. So maybe a common platform like in India, I think when we start publishing this type of best practices to other parts of India, I think the standardization can come back and people can use this platform as one of the best practices from all the experts.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned architects. Unfortunately, you may think that there is no architecture, but hey, listen, I'm an architect. I actually studied architecture. I don't practice architecture. I practice workplace strategy, which is very related. So we pivot around space. But it also brings up a question from Manish, actually. Now, if we're going through such radical changes in terms of the possible change in the role of a facility manager, we may, like Major says, maybe call something else in the future. Okay, in future as in very near future. Manish, you are also part of an education institution. Don't you think it's about time that we actually have some professional courses which brings out these professionally trained people? And graduation and post-graduation around facilities management, yeah.
Partha, there are already organizations which are providing FM related courses. But as far as I know, the biggest qualification for an FM person is that he should be people-centric, and most of the facility people I've met, they're very, very good people person, who are doing excellent. So I think
Thank
this
you.
conversation, you know,
I'll take it on behalf of all those FM heads and players who are watching us today. So thank you from all of them to you.
no, I really mean it because you have to have that eye for detail. You have to understand, be empathetic, and that cannot be taught. Actually, it is something which comes from you, and those soft skill, and any which is most of the FM professionals are either MBAs or they've done some leadership courses. And the beauty of FM profession is that they are allowing outside in concepts. So there are a lot of army people who are there, a lot of other backgrounds. So what happens is because of all that exposure, they evolve, and that is why it is not static. It is evolving. The profession is evolving because it has that ability to embrace the journalists which are coming, and so but as far as the IBS School of Design is concerned, we definitely in future may think of it if we have somebody who's got that in-depth experience, who can who wants to share knowledge and do impart to students. But because as far as the IBS School of Design is concerned, we really value the in-depth experience. And for example, we ourselves are into design and build, and so hands-on, and that is why we are able to provide pragmatic interior architecture. But what we do a lot, Partha, is that we invite a lot of experts. And on this platform, where I've been given an opportunity to be part of this webinar, thanks to Manjeet and CCD team, I would like to invite Major Aditi and Satya to, whenever they have convenient time, to please, share their experiences to our Ivy School of Design students.
That
They
is
will be very, very benefited because I think there's a great job being done by, the COVID warrior, I would say. And on this day, which is the, Kargil Divas Day, I really salute what is being done.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of all the army officers who are into the corporate world, again, thank you very much. And with a lot of good heart, we very humbly accept your invitation. Me and Satya sir will come down to your IPS and we will take a session for your students.
Yeah, even online will be fine at this time. Even
Anytime, sir.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Manish. There are a couple of more questions. So there's a question from Uday who says to see the collective opinion on how the work environment has led to new best practices. How the work environment has led to new best practices. Okay, new best practices. Satya, Major, anybody who wants to tackle this? New best practices which has come up.
Whose question is this?
This is Uday Mathur. Satya, would you like to take that?
I mentioned, I think when I was talking about when you questioned me, what has really happened, what did I sign up for, what didn't sign up for. So I think those are those best practices during what the pandemic already taught us. And if you can keep refining your practices as Mr. Manish said and Mr. Partha said, let's do best practice sharing, because unfortunately, and I'll be very honest here, and I've always been very honest in my webinars. I will take this platform to say that not many of the FMs actually come out and share their practices, what's really happening. It could be probably they are limited because of their internal or confidentiality or privacy reasons, what exactly they have done. But unfortunately, when someone like me starts sharing, this is the way we've done our vaccination program, this is the way we've done our sanitizing machine, this is the way we are trying to sterilize the office sites, and this is the way we are doing deliveries, that's the time it rings a bell to some of the very adventurous FM heads, and we start sharing. Why is it that we do not feel comfortable talking that this is how we have progressed and planned our way forward? I would probably take this platform to tell all the executive management sitting on top of our FM heads that there needs to be a certain leverage given to all the corporate heads so that we can share what is happening around, and that's what you call best practice in my sense. So that is one. Rest I will hand it over to Mr. Satya Narayan, because he's been meeting a lot of people in Hyderabad and he's been meeting a lot of clients out there. And as I understand, someone's asking that what are the new initiatives and things that set apart in Telangana or whatever. So
Yeah,
please.
Major, what you said is very, very true. I think not everyone is comfortable sharing. Some maybe because of the company's policy, the other, it's also a personal thing. Some people are not just comfortable, even getting onto a platform like this. So it's like that.
I agree.
And Satya would be facing that, I think, on a day-to-day basis. So
yeah, we're doing that. As Aditi Major was rightly mentioning in Bhattaji, the best practices concerned, we learned that we need to have a very strong team who connected the dots with multiple places. So I'll tell you how it works out. There is a group which we created for all the hospitals, and when there is an emergency within an employee, you should know which hospital you need to move. I think we are already doing it for last 6 or 7 months. We're seeing by what is the vacancy of the bed and everything. I think this, especially application, should be very strong within your organization level. You should know how many beds, how far you are, and how fast you can reach. And if you have an emergency at your office, it's a multi-tenant, or if you're a campus, I think you should be able to handle it, because you have seen the situation where 10 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour. I think the duration is very less to handle a case from a home to a hospital. I mean, we never experienced it from an office to a hospital, but this is something which everybody should very crucial thing is how do you handle the critical emergency resource emergency from an office to your hospital. That's one point which I want to be very clear. Create a teams like your EHS teams who continuously update the database within your organization. It should be in fingertips which hospital has the equipment and all stuff. And point number two is we've been creating an online like your training sessions. Online training, where every week we are refreshing our protocols, COVID protocols. So saying what we need to do, we need to next 6 months or 1 year, everybody should not forget. So today, a human tendency is wave one is done. So before wave one and wave two, people just ignored the seriousness of the protocol. So I think every time you need to refresh the employees groups, and then the management saying that this is very important. You never take out the mask. You need to always follow the protocols. I think the training modules, a lot of companies I heard, they're doing a regular mandatory trainings. Everybody has to sign and start your system. The moment once you switch on your system, I think that's a mandatory 4 or 5 minutes schedule which has to be followed. I think what will happen is, this will be a practice for you. The moment you start doing it, it will be a practice. You work from home or you work from office. I think this is something mandatory, and the best practices. A lot of companies have started adopting these best practices.
So to add to just one point, what Mr. Satya just mentioned, and I just wanted to keep it on the lighter note. We used to have employees on floor, and I remember last year when I walked in and we had a lot of employees, and all of a sudden my heart sank, because I'm not going to talk on the social media platform right now about it, but my heart sank because this was Major Aditi talking to the entire fraternity, the best practices we were doing on COVID task forces and blah and blah and blah. And when I go on the floor and see my floor, and that's what happens. So to overcome that, we became a little more smarter. I had my boys, and we started clicking pictures of our employees, and to date the orders are very clear. We send an update. So training is good, sir. I mean, training is a part of the compliance. If you put it as a part of your compliance in your portal, it is of course a mandate. But everyday behavior, which we call as COVID appropriate behavior, your CAP behavior, until you have that, sorry my saying, but you really need to be after them, because I know for myself, I also bring down my mask many a times. But yeah, I'm fully vaccinated as well. However, but this really makes the difference. Discipline is very important. We are humans and we are social animals, and we tend to forget it.
one of the things which is disciplined all of us, Major, is the fact that I think our lives are now slotted in hours. All our calendars are blocked in hours, and our hour is coming to an end. There was a feature, remember, when Zoom was introduced, there was a feature, if you take a free subscription, it used to cut off in 40 minutes. I'll actually pay premium for that now, because some of these meetings, they just go on and on. People don't know where to stop. So our lives have changed. So we're just coming to the end of it. You also mentioned, Major, that, on a lighter note, but I think the whole idea behind this is that was that, you know, all of us have had enough of webinars and we've had these fatigues. We've also, I think all of us in one way or the other have suffered over the last 6-9 months. We have seen misery. And I think the least we can do is actually, like some of you spoke about, is to spread a bit of positivity, spread a bit of humor once in a while. And I think if all of us collectively today manage to bring a bit of smile in your face, or we manage to inspire somebody, just even one person, I think it would have achieved something. The whole idea, I think everyone is saying here, is that it's time to work together. And I think that's what all of us will look forward to, and will look to your contribution as well. So keep those questions coming, keep on writing to us. And I think with that, on this auspicious Kargil Vijay Divas, Jai Hind, and bye from me.
Thank you very much. And Jai Hind.
Thank you to all the
Jai
esteemed
Hind.
panelists.
Jai
Thank you.
to all the warriors who have been saving our lives. That's all.
Thank you so much, everybody, all the panelists and all the attendees. We
Thank
hope
you, all the
that,
attendees.
yeah, we hope
Thank
we'll soon have another session, wonderful session planned in the next few days. We'll keep on carrying this momentum of our webinars and getting all the people in the fraternity involved together and keep it forward, moving forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody here.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Thanks to the audience. Thanks to Siddhi.
Thank you, Jai Hind.